This is a recording of the live lesson for third grade. Our project is Seeing Proportion, People, and Poses. Our big idea is alone and together. How do people share their lives? Our learning targets for today, I will understand that artists pay attention to proportions when drawing people. I will observe proportions and discuss expressiveness of poses. I will observe and draw pictures of people in poses. Maybe not people, but mannequins. Drawing people in proportions. We've already drawn faces. Today we'll try drawing the whole person. We'll include the arms, legs, and body. In lesson 1.2, we learned about proportions of the human face. We learned how to draw the eyes, nose, and mouth in proportion to each other. Today we'll look at the proportions of the whole body. Let's look at this image by Renoir. What's going on in this picture? The two girls look as if they are waiting to perform a juggling act. What probably happened to the girl on the left? It looks like she dropped her oranges because there's oranges in her arms and on the ground. What expressions do the girls have? An expression is how their faces look that shows emotion or feeling. I believe they seem comfortable and relaxed in their environment and even a little curious about the people who have come to see them perform. Let's look at some more artwork. I have a picture by Picasso. This is called The Family at Salambouke. It's a French word for acrobat. If we look at this first picture, which pose is probably the easiest to hold? Remember, a pose is a special way to stand or sit. I believe the pose of the small person at the end here is the easiest to hold because he's just standing with his arms to the side. Which pose is probably the most different from everybody else in this picture here? Probably the person sitting. It's the person on the far right is the most different because the figure is sitting while all the others are standing. Let's look at the pose of the two girls here. The girl has her arms crossed holding the oranges while the other one is looks like she just dropped all of her oranges and their heads are tilted looking around. All right, let's go ahead. I want you to pause this video for a second. I want you to practice some of the poses you see these people doing. Get up out of your seat and practice doing maybe 3 of the poses that you see. Stand up and see how it feels to be a model and hold a pose. Resume the video when you're finished. All right, let's look again at Pablo Picasso's family of saltimbanques. Let's think about that word proportion. A proportion is the size of one part in relationship to another. For example, the upper part of an arm is about the same length as the lower part. So if you look at your arm, from your shoulder to your elbow is about the same size as your elbow to your forearm, is what that sentence is saying. Let's look at the proportion of these of the figures in these two paintings. If we look at the Renoir girls a little closely, the two jugglers, I believe that these show more realistic proportion. All of their body parts seem to be the same size in relationship to each other. They look like real people. Where Picasso's figures, their proportion looks more stretched out. The people seem longer and thinner and don't seem as realistic, except for the fat clown guy. He doesn't look that thin. So when you're creating, I want you to really consider proportion. Renoir seems much more successful in his proportion, but doesn't make Picasso's artwork bad. It's just his style of work. I kind of found this little chart online, and it shows different proportions. So the proportion you keep hearing is the size of one part in relationship to another. So a lot of times people who create drawings of people use the head as a unit of measurement. So I found this chart that shows like the heads, like each person in length with the head. So like one head, the body, the torso is 3 heads long, and then the waist to the ankles are 4 heads long. So even though they're different heights, they're still in the same kind of proportion with the heads. So think about that while you're drawing. I know it's a little confusing, but we're just trying to make it so your drawings don't look like they have a giant head on a little body or big hands on little arms. We want to start thinking about the sizes of the body parts in relationship to one another. All right, here's going to be our studio project for today. We're not in school, so we don't have our classmates. So I'm going to improvise a little bit and have pictures of mannequins for you. You're going to be drawing from poses. You're going to draw a mannequin, not people from your class. And I want you to think, what will you use to make the sketches? Pencil, markers, or crayon? It's really your choice. I'm going to prefer you do it in pencil though. How will you show the bends in their bodies? And I want you to think about proportion. I'm going to be looking for that your drawing clearly reflects the pose taken by the model, and the proportions of the body are reasonably aligned with the guide for proportions. I know that's a little confusing, but I want it to look like one of the mannequins that I'm about to show you, and I want you to try and use proportion in your drawing. The mannequins make it a little more simple for you. Their bodies are broken up into shapes like ovals, and the proportions kind of figured out for you in a way. I want you to pick one of these mannequins and I want you to draw it in your sketchbook. You may keep the mannequin how it is, or if you'd like to be a little bit more creative, you can transform the mannequin into maybe one of the classmates you do know, or you can make up someone by adding hair and facial features and clothing and shoes. It's up to you, but I am going to be looking for one of these poses. We're not making up poses. We're looking at the images and drawing what we see. You may make up the details. Do this in your sketchbook in pencil. If you would like to add color, that is optional. If you're absent, please upload a picture to Seesaw so I can see your work that you've done.